Welcome to Preserving Your Wealth with Mike McCormick, where we talk about smart ways to invest and preserve your money. Mike is a registered investment advisor with McCormick Financial Advisors in Bozeman, Montana. As an independent fiduciary, Mike does not receive commissions from any of the products or investments mentioned on this program. Consult a professional before making any investment decision. You can find old shows archived at McCormickFinancialadvisors.com. Learn, participate, interact.
And Mike McCormick is on the line. Shaman Taubman, Half Man, Half Amazing in Vancouver, British Columbia. And Mike, welcome to the show this morning. How you doing?
You know, I am doing quite well, Thomas.
Good.
Yeah, I'm doing quite well. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, we're down. We're up 72 points right now. Morning, the markets are going to open here in a few minutes. So
we just had a job unemployment number that was pretty jaw-dropping.
3 million. Yeah, 3 million. I misspoke earlier, but I misheard that somewhere. But anyway, since 1982, I haven't had numbers like that since 1982.
3.28 million is what it's saying, and of course, Tom, we forgive you because in these times, getting numbers that are accurate is especially hard.
It's not easy, that's for sure.
It's especially hard, and people are investing with their emotions, and so every number has an emotional context to it, such as how many cases of COVID-19 are there, and how many people unfortunately have passed, and that's really the numbers that I think are going to drive the next month. I think there's one website from Johns Hopkins that's probably 30% of the server bandwidth on the planet right now, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's pretty full over there, I would imagine. Yeah, we have it here as well, that the numbers worldwide, I guess I should say. That.
Usually, Tom, if for the listeners, usually when you go in and get to visit with Tom in person, he's got the debt clock clicking along on his on one of his 15 monitors, in there. But
last Thursday, J.P. Morgan reported that the U.S. could have a drop of GDP in the second quarter of 25%. That would be just huge.
I saw that as well, Shane, and those are the numbers that are causing these whipsaws. I mean, exactly. We had a record up day in the midst of this that we hadn't seen since the Great Depression.
That's right.
And just a couple of days ago, and the way that I look at that is the same way that I look at people that tell me that Zoom ZM ticker symbol is the hot ticket, and we should be buying that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I bring it up, and I look at it, and it was up 26% on the day, and I think it was 10 a.m. or something like that a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And when I look at something like that, I say, well, if it moves that fast up, it can move down too. And that's what we're seeing in the market is, sure, it feels good when we see things go up 10% in one day. But a couple of things we got to recognize, is that these statistically, that just means there's so much uncertainty. There's so much. There's no mooring between valuations and what people are willing to pay for them, because there's no knowing what the valuations are right now, especially when you have J.P. Morgan. Their models are very sophisticated, but if you were to ask them what their degree of error on that model was going to be for a 25% hit to GDP in the second quarter, they're going to, if you actually could get that number, it would be at least 15% error in one standard deviation. I mean, they don't know. They can't calculate that one because we don't know how long we're going to be closed for. And so we're here now. The government is on board, and phase one has been of the economy. I think has been solidified. Every front has a handout. The U.S. government is standing strong and acting, and there's going to be some red tape. But I'm happy to talk about what I see businesses doing and what I see the package that was passed last night doing. And then, of course, the Fed has already been busy on this. They've opened their bazooka, so to speak, and so far the market thinks that that's enough.
Yeah. Well, we've heard the governor is thinking about closing more businesses, tattoo parlors, salons, nail places, just almost any retail business where people congregate in numbers of more than 10.
I think in this town they're already closed, I'm guessing, or at least they're not seeing, the shop owner that I visited with the other day, one of my friends owns the downtown running store, and, there's no traffic. There's no customers. He's delivering shoes, he's mailing shoes, but there's nobody that wants to come into a store and touch things and try things on.
Yeah. Well, I even saw an ad this morning for a Lincoln that you could buy Lincoln online and they'll just run it out to your house. So if you want a new Lincoln, get online at Lincoln.com.
Isn't it amazing that in 2008 we were told that was going to be the death of the car dealership?
That you could buy online.
The car dealership would have, each one of their lines, and you could go into the little sales desk and customize it and have it delivered to you.
Yeah, we'll have to look up Carvana and see how they're doing. I don't know if they're public or not, but
that's the used car industry. It's it's grown now in the last 10 years to $670 billion a year. It's bigger than the new car sales. So
Well,
sure should be.
Well, the cash for clunkers failed badly. That was a dumb move to get people off the road and save the right planet.
Idea at the wrong time. It's at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Well, we've done a lot of the things the Treasury has done during these crises, at least in my memory, haven't really amounted to much.
Yeah.
They feel good, but like we talked about last week, getting a check when GW was in office for $600 to go buy a TV, and I don't even remember what that economic crisis was about, probably Kuwait or something. These $1,200 checks that are coming for people that make under $75,000 a year are nice, and they will help those people. They'll help anybody, who wouldn't want to get a check in the mail?
Yeah.
But it's very ephemeral. It's very ephemeral, and I'll just mention to the listeners that if you get such a check, your financial advisor, your unofficial financial advisor is my disclaimer, says that you should sit on it and bolster your cash savings, because we don't know. We know that the government's behind us. We know that various localities are doing everything they can, and everybody's doing something, I hope. But we still don't know if this is a 2 more week until back at work or a 2 more months until back at work. I don't see how this would go longer than that, and that's just my speculation. I'm not a medical practitioner, but if in 2 more months people in Bozeman are not showing up to work and not going to Main Street, there's going to be some other byproducts, and President Trump addressed that. He said that the cure shouldn't be worse than the cold.
That's bad consequences.
Right, and everything that I've read from the medical community, and there's been a lot of videos, and like everybody, we watch these things, and some are horrific when they show the big square filling up with the evil black dots at exponential rates, But the one that stuck with me is that the medical community wants us to slow the spread of this so that they can deal with it in a more methodical manner and have less people that are without the care that they need. They didn't really mention in the things that I saw that the spread of this is going to have much of a change in trajectory that they can control. It's extremely contagious. We're seeing cases popping up in Los Angeles here. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. You know that I believe that people can't keep secrets. But there is obviously a delay in the official confirmed case numbers versus, what they're actually seeing on the floor out there. So that's good, right? They're managing behavior. They're not being irresponsible, reporting moving, real-time numbers of people that think they have it. And what's nice is that somebody's going to telegraph to us in subtle language and subtle ways which way the numbers are really going.
Well, that's right. The CDC announced, and this is big, folks, yesterday it's a stable virus. Unlike H1N1, where it's unstable, and we have at least four different variations of it in the last 11 years. They say this one is very stable. And the good news about that is a virus means they only have one type of COVID-19 to fight. So that's
There's
good,
not COVID-19.1
yeah,
or point 2 or whatever.
Yeah, it will come back next year. So they will need a vaccine for it, but it should make it easier to make one, and it should make it easier for people to decide now. Do you take a flu shot, which you can die from, or do you take a COVID-19, and are you healthy enough to take both?
That you could die from.
The big question in the fall: do you take both, or which one?
Well,
I bet it's a cocktail, Shane. I bet.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just going to spin this whole thing together.
They'll put it all in there. Yeah. Well, as Shane was just pointing out, worldwide we got 487,000 cases confirmed and 117,000 recovered. So about 1 in 3. But again, we don't know the number of cases out there as to what the percent of recovery is, because I'm sure there are a lot of people who have not been diagnosed with it or have had it and developed some antibodies to it and, have moved on.
Yeah, and so, finishing or going with my thread of where we are, we're in a place of relative calm right now as we deploy these economic measures. And if you're a business owner, your decision is, should I fire the workers or should I try and take advantage of the SBA-administered free money loan program for keeping people on payroll? Yeah. That's a personal decision. You should be meeting with your advisors and your team. A lot of the retail places, it's a no-brainer. You have to let them go. You have to let the unemployment system work.
Yeah.
It's not your and then it's not the business owner's liability. Whereas I do have business owners that are pretty good employers in town that I know that are saying, well, we can see our business as being just as viable as soon as we get the getting better signal, we can get back to business. So we know we're going to be hiring back most of these workers. Maybe we should try and dance with the SBA-administered free money loan program that just got passed by by the Senate last night, and probably will smooth through everybody else. But, they've got red tape, delays, credit lines. It's a lot of liability on their part to carry all the workers through. And that's why for the small employer, you have to cut them some slack and say, yes, making it not your problem for now is the best one. And you can hire them back in the future. And they, in the meantime, they got $12,000 or $1,200 in their pocket. The unemployment benefits are going to be easier to get. The system's already there. I'm always a fan of working for the laws that exist on the books. But we're getting this, okay, now things are okay. Stock market had a good breather yesterday. Where do we are next? Well, like you said, it's these numbers that we're looking at on the COVID, and before they get better, they're going to get worse. And then there's a next level of fear that's going to hit individuals, which is, when do you know somebody that is sick? When does it come home? When does it come home into your sphere of society and become something that used to be a hurricane in the Southeast or a tornado in Tennessee, and now it's in your world, and that's where the next level of fear, and I think the next level of selling the stock market is. I think that it's likely we're going to have a new low out there, and I'm not being greedy when others are fearful, because two things. One is it's hard, and for me to have that much confidence as a fiduciary for my clients that I can risk their money in a time of immense fear and uncertainty is a gamble, no matter who you are, no matter which expert money manager you are or how confident you are. And that's not what I do for clients. So a little bit of stock market advice in this one is, the game plan of doing nothing is still the game plan. If you have your Susie Orman money, which you should have, that should be plenty to get you through. If you're in an impacted industry that's going to change, you've got real questions and problems. If not, the best thing to do is enjoy your time with your family and maybe, paint the baseboard like I'm trying to get myself to do at home on my free time.
All right. We got to take a break, Mike. We'll be right back. So stay tuned. We're talking with Mike McCormick, McCormick Financial Advisors, and we'll be back with Mike and Shane and myself right after this. Stay tuned. 23 minutes after the hour. It's Thursday, March 26, 2020. Mike McCormick, McCormick Financial Advisors on the phone, and Shaman Taubman, half man, half amazing in Vancouver, British Columbia. Tommy Gallop, your morning mayor, and this is the KMMS Morning Soapbox, brought to you by the Club Tavern and Grill. They're in the Best Western Grand Tree on North 7th, and they're doing takeout from 4 to 8. Give them a call at 556-6212 or check them out online at theclubtavernandgrill.com. Mike, we were talking a little bit, and I've got a question for you from our text line, 478-8298. Put the $1,200 into savings. Please explain who in Bozo, let alone America, has savings. Over 90% of Americans cannot survive a $400 monthly bill. That is unexpected. Are you out of touch with what paycheck to paycheck people go through every month? And at the end of April, when nobody can pay their rent or mortgage, or maybe the second month in a row, what are we going to do? 3.2 million have filed for unemployment last week alone. Are you going to tell them to put that money in savings?
Thank you. Yes, this is a community radio station, and I have no doubt I've lost touch with living paycheck to paycheck. I did my fair share of it. It was voluntary. I was a ski bum for a period of time after, and then went to graduate school, so I got both sides of that. But look, if you are low income, you are probably on unemployment, which pays less than your full amount. So you are cutting back. If you are low income, you are probably spending similar to what you were spending before, because you were not buying $5 lattes at Starbucks, and because you were not buying expensive takeout food instead of making your own food. And you already were cutting back because you weren't saving extra. You were already limiting, living paycheck to paycheck. Well, you know what? It's a good exercise for us to tighten our belts every once in a while. And we're tough Montanans, and everybody can cut savings somewhere. The Suburban that you had to have, that you got the expensive car loan for instead of buying a $500 car out of the penny saver, that's biting you right now. And so, yeah, you got to make some hard decisions about that. The $1,200 that are getting in the mail, sure, you can spend that on the needs that you have right now, but this will get worse. This $1,200 is needed to bridge the difference between your full paycheck and your unemployment paycheck for about 2 months. So I'd phase it in like that. If it goes longer than that, there'll probably be another stimulus program going through helping you. So I know it's not good news. I'm not promoting this as a placebo or panacea, whatever the one is where it cures everything all right away. But the government is there for you. The U.S. government says, hey, in 2008, we came in and we took all of the bad financial decisions that people have made. They didn't know they were owning toxic debt securities, but we're going to take them from them. Their overextensions on their credit lines, we're going to take it from them. The high rates on the adjustable arms, we're going to adjust rates. We're going to absorb for our people all of the disease, to use that word, the financial disease that happened in 2008. And then over time, we're going to deal with it slowly, judiciously, and with a scale that nobody else can do on the entire planet. And it worked okay. I don't think you could say anything other than worked okay to good. So the government's in that role again. They got our back. There's some industries that are suffering more than others. There's some parts of the country that are suffering than others. The $1,200 paycheck or check that's coming out in Montana means a whole lot more than if you were living in Manhattan. So it's not working. There's no ideal fit, but this is pretty darn good, I guess I'd say. And times like these, you got to be positive. You got to focus on what you can do. But I'll tell you what, every one of my peers, I'm 49, and so the 2008 recession hit me like a ton of bricks, hit all of my peers like a ton of bricks. We lost a ton of money. We've been spending a decade and plus working back to get back to where we can send our kids to school, have some hope for retirement. And you know what we also did along the way? We made sure that when 2008 hits again, we can walk down the street and not freak out, because 2008 was unbearable. And so all those peers that I know, they're not squeaky clean, but they have emergency money. They have low debt loads that are much more reasonable. They have cars that are paid off. And you know what they also have? They have a confidence that the U.S. economy is going to be fine after this. And that's really the most encouraging thing when I talk to these business owners. They say, oh, you know, the virus is bad, and I worry for the people in my life that are older. I worry for the people in the community. I don't worry so much for myself, for my kids, but we're doing our part.
What time is it?
The economy.
What time is it?
What time is it right now?
Yeah. Time for a break, because we got to go to the news. It's the bottom of the hour.
Going. Sorry, I'm going.
All right.
I'm not in the studio, so I can't see that hand language anymore.
When we come back, any idea when the checks start coming? I've got 2 months emergency cash. Please tell us who qualifies to receive a check and what are the criteria. We'll be right back with those answers after this. 25 minutes for the top of the hour. We've got Mike McCormick is on the line. Shane Tobin is on the line, and we've got a caller waiting. Caller, you are on the air. Thanks for waiting. What's going on?
This is Clint.
Hey.
Good morning.
How are you guys? Morning. How are you, Mike?
Good.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Thanks, Clint.
Vancouver, are you, or Kamloops?
No. Vancouver.
Okay, that's good. Well, I got to ask Tom a question, and then I got a suggestion.
All right.
Tom, what was the name of that testosterone pill that you were advertising on?
Ageless male.
It's what?
Ageless male. What Shane and I are.
Ageless male?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you something. This is a little joke I figured out this morning, and I'm so damn sick of the press, paranoid, and the people. They've got the people scared to death. And I don't like it, and I think a lot of people don't like it. So I'm going to give you a little uplift here.
All right.
Let's take a little bit of ageless male
Yeah.
and a bottle of whiskey and see which one kills us first.
All right. There you go. I'm with that.
See you later, guys.
All right. Thanks for the call, Clint.
Thanks, Clint.
Let's see. One of the before we went to the break, we were talking about 2 months emergency cash. Please tell us who qualifies to receive a check, and I think it's working people. I think you got to be employed, and making $75,000 or less are the people who. My understanding is that right, Shane?
Yeah, $2,500 a month and $500 for each child.
Okay, all right.
And they're using, as I understand, they're just going to go through the IRS and see
who filed, who filed and who was employed at the time, and
they'll use your bank information that they might have processed. Somebody's got a coffin stick going on. But,
So
they're going to use your bank and put it in there for you automatically.
I would be amazingly surprised if it was not taxable. I don't think it's.
And is it going? It's got to be going off of your 2018 tax return.
I was going to say I don't think it's tax free. So.
No, it's not.
Well, sure, but again, it's like which calendar year are we talking about?
Well, that's true. Yeah. So if it goes off this year's deal, then it would be okay. Let's take another phone call. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, you on the air with Mike McCormick. What's going on?
Good morning, guys. It's Scott.
Hi, Scott.
How are you? Hey, I just want to say, I told my son a long time ago, I said, you got to have 3 months worth of everything as far as I'm concerned. Money to pay stuff for, food, whatever. When you get time to prepare for something that's coming, when they tell you something's coming for a long time. For instance, I lived in the tropics for a while, and we would see a hurricane coming for days.
Right.
And days, and you get to prepare. But then you should be partially prepared. You should, and I think the important, you get an earthquake or something that happens right now, that's a whole different story.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the important thing is we all got pretty used to stuff. It was pretty cushy all the time. We didn't have to worry about much. And now we've had this thing that Clinton wants to say everybody's just paranoid about, basically is what he's saying. I have to think it's a little more serious. But I hope we don't get – I think the important thing now is that we don't get cushy and comfortable with the government handing us a whole bunch of money, which is, I think, is what the Democrats are hoping happens. But I think it's important that we realize this is just a temporary, safety net for everybody. And when it gets when this thing passes, everybody gets back to what they're supposed to be doing and preparing better for something that will come down the road.
Well, one of the things that was in the bill that I didn't realize, I saw it yesterday, and I haven't heard it on any of the news broadcasts, was the error they made that you can actually make more not working than you can working. So
I don't know if that was an error. I'm not sure that was an error.
Well, it may not have been, but they're calling it an error.
Well, it wasn't an error to give the Kennedy Performing Arts Center $25 million.
Well, that's true. Yeah, you've got to.
I mean, there's a lot of errors that at least we as conservatives look as errors.
Yeah, we kind of wonder about things like that.
Yeah, where's that money ultimately end up? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, guys. Nice show as always. Take care.
Hey, thanks for the show. Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
Thanks for the show too, because we wouldn't be here without you. What do you think, Mike? Are we?
I was just going to say with regard to the Kennedy Center, we're all
the billionaires that are social left. Why aren't they contributing to the Kennedy Center and solving that issue?
All right. What do you think, Mike?
Oh, I mean, there's all sorts of great questions, and when you have a bill like this that's forced through that really needs to go through, they took the commensurate, one day of we couldn't agree, just to see how the stock market would react, and it's probably truly disgusting the amount of lobbying and whatever you want to call it that's going into this social program, and it is what it is. It's part of democracy. There's going to be a lot of slop. And when funds are misappropriated and somebody, some contractor from Whitefish gets a deal in Puerto Rico to make $1 bajillion or whatever, there's a form of stimulus there too. I just take that, and there's going to be slop and error. And obviously the one in Whitefish got canceled. But if that would have happened, then there would have been a new McMansion in Whitefish and a lot of big jobs and some velocity of money would have happened out of it too,
Yeah.
These times we're shooting with shotguns, not with precision rifles, or bigger than that.
Yeah.
And the unknown of when this thing stops, that's the whole question. The fear based off of the number of deaths, that's the emotional driver for the stock market. Liquidity is a term you hear all the time on the financial news. It means different things in different contexts. And it means different things for different people, too.
All right, guys, we got to take another break. Hang on, and we'll return. From our app chat line, my savings is in an online savings account, FDIC insured. Is it safe, or should I transfer it to a local bank? And you have to be employed in the year of 2018 because they pushed 2019 back till July 15th. It would, let's see, the stimulus be counted against next tax season deductions, or will it be free cash? We'll talk about that when we return right after this. 15 minutes for the top of the hour. We got another break at 50, guys. Keep an eye on your time. And Mike McCormick joins us, and Shane Taubman, half man, half amazing in Vancouver, British Columbia. Tommy Galoff, your morning mayor. This is the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane and Mike McCormick of McCormick Financial Advisors. So I think we've established this is probably going to be taxable, Mike. I seriously doubt it's free money.
I agree, but the good news is if you're receiving it, your tax rates are pretty light. So
yeah, I would think so.
Carry on.
So, good deal. So, well, it could be quite a bit because you'll get $500 per kid, but you got $1,000 deduction or tax credit, I should say, per kid. So that will take that away. So.
Yeah, and again, I'm not a tax advisor, but if you are in that income bracket, your income's probably going to go down. Your tax liability in the future, withholding, all those sorts of things, it'll probably be fine. If there's an option to put withholding on this check somehow, if you need to go in and proactively accept it and have an option to put withholding, 5% state, 10% federal, sort of the national way to go. In the state, you could probably reduce that down to zero and just see how it shakes out. But But no, this is emergency time. It's not time to be planning for your tax liability over a year from now. It's time for you to be planning for the next month or two.
Yeah. You had a shrewd texter say that under President Trump, we have a better chance of holding this situation to a recession. I agree. The Democrats would push our economy to the brink by overreacting like usual. So do you gentlemen think we're probably better off with Republican leadership rather than the liberals in this time of crisis? Shane, what do you think?
I think
Okay.
Shane wouldn't. You guys, there's no time that you guys would want to see the Democrats in power. So it's a leading question.
Yeah, I can't fathom a situation unless it was absolute peace and triple prosperity.
But
and they promise not to do anything.
It's fascinating that the examples of helicopter money we're talking about have happened under Republican regimes. So these are tools that anybody can use. This is not just because you eat a wafer and drink wine doesn't mean you're Catholic, right?
That's it.
So. Permit to make a hypothetical comparison.
Do what? I'm sorry, what?
I said, Ekman, I'm asking permission to make a hypothetical comparison.
Go ahead.
If the Democrats got into power and implemented the New Green Deal, I think what you're seeing in the market and what's happened because of this virus, you could basically say that's what would happen with your economy. So you're getting a real experience watching what's happening because of this virus and what it did. This market downturn and the unemployment numbers are a serious effect to your economy. And, the demolition party's been touting that that's what they want to do, but that they're, going to guarantee other and better new jobs.
Yeah. All right, let's take a phone call, guys. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, you are on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane and Mike McCormick. What's up?
I would just like to remind all of our listeners that Mr. Daines voted for this crap with all the BS in it. You could say it is what it is. I say it's bullshit when it's bullshit. And how much would that $25 million have done to help out the folks in Townsend where the mill got closed down? I already saw my first Steve Daines commercial with a little clip of a box of lumber in the background. We need to wake up. Gotta go to work.
All right, thanks for the call.
Well, I just want to remind everyone it was 98-0, so Tester voted for it too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I was going to say it was pretty much a unanimous vote, so there you go. So, I would go along with that. Time, if the Republicans are so great at running the economy, how come every time they're in office we have to throw trillions of dollars at Wall Street, Tom? Well, I don't know that we're throwing $1 trillion at anybody. Everything seems to be a loan.
Yeah, Mike and I talked this off air. It's like TARP back in 08, 09.
Yeah.
And, the banks and everyone paid all of it back, and the U.S. government made a vast amount of money with the stock they got as well and sold. So, I think there's a huge upside to what they're doing, and it's a positive approach to wanting to stabilize the confidence of the economy.
Mike?
Yeah. Yeah, the government's got this long-term view that's different than the individual that's trying to put food on the table and figure out what to make of the day today. Partnerships like that in the past have worked. I'm not saying it's not a time for concern. It really all has to do with is the scare, have we reacted appropriately to the scare? How many new scares are there? Liquidity exists in your portfolio and that you can sell and get money for the price that you see that day. But the valuations, they're unmoored. They are not reflecting reality. So in that regard, this is mid-long-term money. Of course, as a financial advisor, I have to stress that don't mess with your retirement portfolios. The clients and the portfolios that I get to see, I can easily divide into two categories: those that did something during the 2008 and those that didn't. And the financially healthier people did not, and that's the game plan they're going with again this time around. Careful with emotional.
Yeah, I'd agree. Don't let your emotions run wild here because investments are long-term, not short-term. So got to take another break, guys. We'll be right back with more with Tom and Shane and Mike McCormick right after these important words. Stay tuned. 6 minutes for the top of the hour, and Mike McCormick is on the line. Shaman Taubman is on the line. And from our text line, guys, so only actively employed workers get a check. I worked for 46 years, and now I'm old and decrepit from so many years of hard work. I'm also in the age group at most risk from COVID-19. That lying dog-faced pony soldier of a governor we've got is making my wife and I travel further to pay more for goods and services. I guess I get no check when I'm on a fixed income. Costs are escalating, and I'm now in the age group most at risk from the virus. Yeah, that's about right. Sounds good to me. What BS? So there you are, guys. What do you think?
Boy, that is the truth.
Yeah.
There are people that is the. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. This caller is exactly right. They are left behind. There's no recourse. They don't own a small business, so they can't go get a free loan to pay themselves a salary to give back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's that move for the small business owner. For the retiree, there's no relief for this particular crux. So hopefully your fixed income will go further. You know, I'm always a glass half full person. Inflation's not really a problem right now. You know.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one silver lining in there. You know.
Yeah, thankfully it's not a problem right now, but
gas is cheaper.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to say.
But you can't go anywhere.
Yeah. Right.
Well, the other thing I would say to this person, because he's in the same boat I am, you know, I'm a fixed income person, and my income hasn't changed. Now, I would agree that the governor has closed everything, so sometimes you got to go a little more distance to get things, and that would be true. But I think for the most part, people who are retired or who are on fixed incomes, their income's pretty well going to stay the same. Nobody's going to cut Social Security payments. Nobody's going to cut SSI or Medicare or Medicaid or anything like that. So, you know,
and the shock to the economy is all happening in some ways because we're not spending money where we used to. We're not going.
Well, that's true.
We're not going out to eat. We're not going to the movies.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. You're not spending your fixed income like you might have been before. You know, but you know, you can still get medications, you can still get food, you can still get gas. So.
Yeah. Well, I feel badly for that demographic.
No, I do too. Yeah. Now, what we preach, of course, here, Mike, with you is avoid that at all costs. Save some of your, you know, I know people say I can't save a dime. Well, yeah, you can. You know, I'll look at your lifestyle. You know, if you're a smoker, you can save a dime. You know, if you're a drinker, you can save a dime. You know, if you're you know, whatever. You know, if you got cable, you can save a dime. If you got internet, you can save a dime.
Yes. If you got 3 kids in sports in Montana that all got canceled, you're saving a lot of dimes.
That's right. I bet. Yeah. If your kids have a cell phone, you can save a dime.
Oh gosh. Right.
Now, it's not, you know, as I've said many times before, if you're willing to live for a short period of time like most people can't, you can live the rest of your life like most people can't.
And we don't mean to say that insensitively, but you know, feeling confident through times like these is a long-term project, and if anybody needs help on that, you know, I'm not really the best person, but there are good people out there.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, the question is, should people be looking to get in and get good deals on things right now? And I fundamentally think it's not yet. And again, it has to do with the number of deaths and the math associated with exponential growth. There's going to be a lot more scary stories coming out. Hopefully we've got springtime coming, and I think that there is cause for optimism. And I do think, you know, to the Green New Deal beatdown that you and Shane gave earlier, this experience that we're going through as a global community should have some review. And it doesn't mean that we all need to be riding our bicycles to work, but it should have some review about, we don't want this to happen again.
That's for
we
sure.
don't want things like this to happen again.
Yeah.
And my soapbox is fundamentally lots of people all in one place doing things, they get sick.
Mike,
and, if
from
we were
our
tribes, this wouldn't.
Yeah, we're up against the clock here, Mike. But from our app chat line, the question about savings being safe in the bank, FDIC. Would you leave the money in the bank, or do you take it?
I absolutely would.
Okay,
I absolutely would. The only concern with online stuff is, can you get to the internet?
Yeah.
And thumbs up to Verizon and Spectrum and everybody else, but now that everybody's streaming all at the same time and on the phone at the same time, it's still working. So I got to give thumbs up for that.
All right.